Hi everyone. Welcome once again to another episode of Techpeeps Diaspora. Today, it's a bit of a detour. Over the past few episodes, we've interviewed lots of software engineers and people in the technical field. Today, I'm really excited to have a guest on the show who is in tech, but in a different role, and I'm really excited and looking forward to this one. So not to take the surprise away, I'm going to hand over to Jacqueline. Jacqueline, welcome to Tech Pips Diaspora.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Mohammed. Thank you. Yeah, it's a real detour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thanks for doing this. So Jacqueline is a project manager, and she's been a project manager for, I think, with more than 13 years experience,
Yes.
if I'm right. So could you tell us a little bit about yourself and, like what you do as a project manager?
Okay. Like you already said, my name is Jacqueline. I've been a project manager for over 13 years because I started working at a really young age, I would say. So, what I currently do as a project manager, I work as a senior project manager here in the United Kingdom. And what I do is I tend to manage a diverse range of projects, and no task is too small for me, and no task is too big, to be honest. So I haven't been working with my employer for long. I actually joined in March of 2023. And yeah, it's been an amazing ride with them. It's an amazing company. The support has been extremely amazing.
Mm,
And the company is very diverse. That's the thing. You get to work with people who live in Singapore, who are in the UK, who are in the US, in Canada, in India. Like it's an amazing fit for me as a PM. And this is the first time I'm getting to work with like a really, really diverse team. And I'm loving it, basically. I'm loving it. Yeah.
yeah, and like talking about that, yeah, also like Nigerian, right?
Yes, I'm Nigerian.
So I'm sure, like, when your colleagues also speak about you, they'll be like, "Yeah, I'm also working with international people, with Nigerians and stuff." Yeah, it's really nice to have like a good representation of like people in Africa, who
Yes.
are like contributing a lot to like these, international companies. Like I've seen that you worked on projects with like companies like Apple, MTV Base, like these really huge companies. How, like, did you, first, like, what does a project manager do? Because for me as well, like it's interesting to learn about project management because I don't have a lot of knowledge about that. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about what your role involves as a project manager.
Okay. Basically, I would say that a project manager ensures that
Mhm,
every single task gets completed. That's just it. And then you manage the team and the process to ensure that that task gets done.
mhm,
So I always say that anyone who's interested in managing, interested in seeing something from the start to end, can
mhm,
be a PM, can be a project manager. As a PM, basically, the first thing I do is the day before, I usually have like a to-do list. So I have my Microsoft to do. I love that ding sound it makes when I complete a task. So I go to check my task for the day to see what I have to do in terms of if I need to speak to like an engineer for like a training they're conducting, or if I need to create like a schedule for a project, if
mhm,
I need to fill out a risk log document,
mhm,
because these are some of the things that you would have to do as a project manager. You might have to do like a PID document. In some organizations, they have like a different name for it. A PID is like a project initiation document. You may
mhm,
have to do that on a new project that you're working with, like a client, for instance.
mhm,
In my organization, we have a unique name for that. You may have to do that as a project manager. or if you're working on like something called like a time and material project, you may have to approve time for like your engineers, that they have logged in their time, that these are the hours they've spent on a project, and then you may have to approve the time as a project manager. No 2 days are the same, to be honest. But one thing that is constant with me as a project manager is that I'm in a lot of meetings. So when I'm in a lot of meetings, and I get to book a lot of meetings as well. And finding the right time to book everyone's meeting together can be very challenging, especially on Outlook. When you're trying to book someone's meeting on Teams, and then you see that, oh, they're busy, but this person is free. So you have to find like a common ground to get that meeting booked. So that's one challenge I face as a project manager. My day to day, like I said, I start checking out my to do list,
Mm,
what I need to get done for the day. If I need to like work on a schedule, updates like a project plan on MS Project, or work on like a document, a PID document, or just basically just do mini check-ins with the team you're working with. Just major touch points, like on Teams, you send them a message, hi, so and so, just checking in. Is there anything you need for so and so? What's the update on this? Do we need to get a meeting done, or are you up for a quick call?
mm,
As well, I'm always asking, are you up for a quick 5 minutes call? And it's never 5 minutes. It's always 30 minutes and above. Yeah, so that's like my day to day, managing the process, ensuring that things are going smoothly,
mm,
and if it's not going smoothly, raising it when you know that it's a good time to raise it and say that, okay, this project needs attention, there's an issue here and there. Who can help us resolve it? Can we do this instead to manage the project not failing? So there's so many things that involves being a project manager. It's not just one cutthroat approach. Sometimes you have to do the task of when I was funny enough, when I was a project manager, when I used to work at MTV,
yeah.
when I felt like, because I worked a lot with editors, so when
Mm,
I felt like the editors maybe they were not getting what I was trying to say, I would now be like, okay, just give me the give me the mouse. This put this shot here, put this shot here, do this, do that. So sometimes you have to get very technical if you feel like the person is not truly understanding what you want delivered.
it sounds like to be a project manager, it takes some unique skills. You talked a lot about working, being able to work with people, because you touch basically almost different aspects of the project, and this
Yes.
means being able to collaborate with different people that work in all the different parts of the project. So I mean, like, for someone that also is now learning about project management, like, I'm wondering what are some of these like skills that I need to learn or I need to know, or are there any skills that are even transferable from,
Yes.
say, if someone like as a software engineer, if I wanted to go into project management, are there some skills that I can transfer over? What are some of these unique skill sets that a person needs to have to, become a good project manager?
I think one of the very first thing is that you need to have interpersonal skills, and you need to have like a level head in terms of like your temper. You shouldn't be temperamental and think that, oh, everyone must do it a certain way and get frustrated when people don't do it that way. No, you need to have really good interpersonal skills so that when you speak to people, they can see where you're coming from. So in terms of that, just be friendly, just be a very friendly person and have a really good temperament. So
Mm,
be able to control your temper. And then you have to be very organized. That's the funny thing. As a project manager, you have to be organized. So if
mm,
you're a software engineer looking to go into project management, you have to self-reflect and say, okay, maybe I'm not organized in terms of logging things. Maybe I can start the habit of keeping track of things, like documenting things. Maybe if I've completed a task, I would document that, or I'll document the process it would take me to complete that task. So those are skills that you can now start to transfer into a role as a project manager. And you need to be very assertive. You can't always say yes to everything. I
mm.
know there's this habit of software engineers that they know that it's going to take 1 month to complete a task. They would say, yeah, it'll take 2 weeks, but they know it will take 1 month. And then when it gets to 2 weeks, they'll be like, no, there's an issue somewhere,
Yeah.
this and that. They always say that it would take a shorter time just to let the person leave them alone and be happy. Yeah, I can do it. I can do it. You have to be very honest. If it's going to take a longer time, just say it will take a longer time. And if the person is insisting that, oh, but this can be done in 2 weeks, you would say, well, it can be done in 2 weeks, but we will not be able to get XYZ out of it. Like, you won't get like the quality that you're looking for. So you always have to be a good negotiator. That's one thing about being a project manager. You always have to negotiate and say, okay, if you want it at this time, it would affect this and this. But I can get it done. It's not a problem, but it would affect certain things. And you need to also learn to write. Basically, you need to learn to put big words together. Nowadays, we have ChatGPT, we have Bard that can help us. However, we can't really use it for work per se
Mhm.
because of data protection.
Mhm.
However, you can use it to learn how to speak. Okay, can you teach me how to write so so and so? And
Mhm.
ChatGPT can actually help you, and it would basically help you to move your skills forward in terms of writing because not everyone can write. Another thing is YouTube. YouTube is a platform of amazing knowledge. So just watch the right information on YouTube. Basically, watch
Mhm.
how to maybe use an Excel spreadsheet or how to use MS Project. Watch
Mhm.
short 5 minutes videos because our attention span is very it's very low now. People don't like to learn with longer videos. So
Yeah.
just watch quick videos, and as you're watching it, be practicing on the go. Before you know it, you're a genius. So
Mhm.
learn the tools that are necessary for you to succeed as a project manager. Another thing I would say is get certified. If it's a free certification, maybe you don't have the money to pay for like a Prince 2 or a PMP, you can get like a Google project management certification. Those little things will help you understand like the project management methodologies, framework, which a lot of organizations like to mention and they like to use as well,
Mhm.
especially Agile. Agile is like one thing that organizations are feeling. They love the process, they love how fast it makes people get work done. So
Mhm.
understand those little things and have a plan, have like a strategy of transitioning and
Mhm.
all. Another thing that I would say that a lot of people don't touch on is volunteering. So you
Yeah.
can volunteer as a project manager within your organization as well. You can say, okay, can I volunteer to manage this project?
Mhm.
Just give me a chance. Let me see if even if it's a smaller project,
Mhm.
from the smaller ones, they start to trust you with like bigger ones. Or you can volunteer outside your organizations as well. You can look for companies that are looking for project managers and you can say, okay, I don't have experience as a project manager, but I'm interested in it and I would love to volunteer with you to learn and also help you guys. So these are ways that people can transition into being a project manager. Yeah.
Yeah. Listening to this, like it kind of sounds similar to a product manager's role because like in my team, product team, we have a product manager uh,
Yes.
that talks to like stakeholders to try to get the right requirements,
Yes.
prioritize things so that the software engineers, the product team, we can execute on this. So I kind
Yeah.
of see um, initially I thought maybe these were the same roles but named differently in maybe, but now I kind of see that they are different roles but they kind of have an overlap.
Yes.
What's the overlap then? Like, do you need, you know like first of all, is my assumption correct that it's there are two different distinct roles, um and then there are some similarities, right? But also, what are the differences between these two?
Um, I would say for product management, the only thing that is similar to it being a project manager's job to basically project management is that they
Mhm.
basically manage people and they manage a process.
Okay.
However, product management is deeper in the sense that they sometimes work on pricing of a product. Like if they need to work on like a licensing pricing, a
Mhm.
project manager would not do that.
Okay.
Product managers are very customer facing, so if there's certain requirements that are needed for like a particular product, a software that they're delivering to a customer,
Mhm.
a product manager would handle it and let them know if if that particular product is viable
Mhm.
or a feature is viable. A
Mhm.
project manager doesn't really do that because a project manager doesn't really understand so much of the in-core technical bit of that product. The
Mhm.
project manager only understands the process to get it delivered, but the features, what it would entail, how it would affect the customer,
Mhm.
etc. It all falls on the product manager's neck. And if a feature has like a bug, or
Mhm.
if there's like a downtime, it's
Mhm.
the product manager's wahala. It's the product manager's trouble. It's
Yeah.
not the project manager's trouble. The project manager's own is just to get the project delivered. That's it.
It's already like good information. At least it helps me know that there are two distinct roles.
Yes, they
Um,
are.
yeah, but I assume that these people can also work together, right, in an
Yes.
organization, work hand in
Yes.
hand. Yes.
Yes.
I
Mhm.
saw that you know, like studied. You have a background in computer science.
Yes, computer
So
science.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
kind of curious, like, you know, how did you, you know, make the transition over to project management, and what were the reasons, you know, to make this transition, right? Because you know, computer science, and then now into project management.
Yeah, computer science because I've always been interested in tech. So technology is like my first love. I've always been interested in gadgets and understanding how they work. So the easiest way to do it is to study a course you're interested in.
Mhm.
But along the line, because I was in school and there were like a lot of strikes and issues, so I found a way to dabble into media. Actually, my career started in media, so I
Mhm.
worked with a few media companies as a producer and a production coordinator
Mhm.
whilst I was working. And I was still schooling at the time, to be honest. But it got to a part where I saw that I was very organized, I was very structured. I loved managing like a process, basically. If I need to plan my vacation, for instance, I would have a spreadsheet that would log all what I'm going to be spending and everything. And I had this friend who was a project manager, and I told him that I was interested in getting certifications, switching into a better management role. I
Mhm.
didn't know that project management existed at the time. I didn't even know what it was.
Mhm.
And his name is Iola. And then he said, "Oh, he's done PMP. It's like project management professional. Maybe I can do it too." I was like, that's interesting. Okay. He's like, "Oh, he would share the materials with me so I can see what it looks like and maybe dabble into it." That was when I discovered that there was a role called project management. And yeah, and I would say that that's how my career started. So when I moved on to the next organization that I worked with, I started as a production coordinator and then moved up into being like a project management because they saw that I brought in a certain level of structure
Mhm.
within the team that they really appreciated. So
Mhm.
that's how I moved up as a project manager. And I've been doing it for years.
I can imagine it took a lot of hard work, and you know, like also being connected to the right people, which is
Yes.
something that most people overlook, like having
Yes.
the right network of people that, you know, can introduce you to like things. Um,
Yes.
and that brings me to, you know, I'm sure like people that would watch this, there are people that might be interested and they are thinking, okay, so if I want to be a project manager, you mentioned like these certifications, right? Like,
Yes.
is there like I know, like if I wanted to be a software engineer, like previously you would need to study computer science, but now there are like lots of boot camps that you can, you know, go to learn how to code, and there are also tons of like online resources and that you can use to code, and sometimes you don't even need certifications, right, to get your foot in the door. So is there a, some sort of clear path where people who want to get started can maybe like go to a boot camp, for example, or like take some particular courses, and then after that, you know, like how do they position themselves to be able to like get their foot in the door, for example.
Okay, there is the theoretical part, which is learning. Like I mentioned, Google Project Management, Prince2 certification, PMP. I
Mhm.
also mentioned YouTube as well. YouTube is filled with like a lot of knowledge, so they can do that.
Mhm.
Or they can also get like people who are already established in that field and reach out to them to mentor them. basically, and just say, okay, I'm interested in this career path. Can you basically mentor me in terms of what do you do on a daily basis? What how can I implement that in my current role at work?
Mhm.
Um, Reaching out to people honestly really helps. I've had people reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'm always happy to help. And then another thing is there are a lot of mentorship platforms available that mentor project managers and also give them like tasks to do.
Mhm.
So there are free platforms, there are paid platforms. I would advise people to go for the free ones where they would give you like projects to work on. There's like a site called forage.co.uk.
Mhm.
They can go on those sites and work on projects for top organizations in the UK.
Mhm.
Basically, just learning virtually. So they can learn on platforms like that. They can also intern within organizations. If you want to go into a new career, you may have to start from scratch, but if you have like core transferable skills, you may start from the top or the middle.
Mhm.
So interning can really help. Here in the UK, we have something called graduate roles. So you can apply to be a graduate project manager within
Mhm.
organizations, and then they'll bump you up. Once you do well, after 2 years, they promote you into being like a core project manager. And then, like I said, volunteering within your organization. Yeah, and just telling them that this is what I'd like to manage a project, or can you put me on as a project support on this team for this particular project?
Mhm.
Or if you have a title, a weird title in your organization, but you currently manage a team, you manage projects, you can just ask them to, can you please change my title? This is what I do as a project manager. Make a case for it and ask them if they can actually promote you, change your title, even if it doesn't really affect your salary, but you know that your career trajectory is to be a project manager. So
Mhm.
ask your organization, can you please change my title? What I do here is what a project manager does.
Mhm.
So I believe I deserve that title as opposed to having like a weird title within the organization. Yeah. I've seen people get called admin, administrator, admin staff, but a lot of times they actually manage projects.
Yeah.
So you can actually ask your organization to promote you and make a case for it. Yeah, but like I mentioned, mentorship platforms. I'll send you the name of the site Forage, where people can work on real life projects and learn, do a lot of learning. There are a lot of sites like that that offer free tutoring for people. They just assign you like a project form, maybe KPMG, for instance, and then you work on that project for KPMG. So it really helps. Yeah, so these are ways that you can actually transition, honestly. And then, like I said, reach out to people because your network is your net worth. That's the honest truth. Referrals are amazing. If you feel like there's an entry level role and you know that a company is hiring and you see somebody that's a staff on LinkedIn, you can reach out to them, send a nice message and say, please, can you refer me for this role?
Mhm.
It's an entry level role and I want to transition into being a project manager. Send a nice message. Yeah, and that would really help. Yeah.
So, like I was paying attention to some of the stuff that you said, and talking about mentoring and volunteering. I know, or at least I've read that if you have done like your fair bit of that. Um,
Yeah.
uh, like for example, I know that you started this organization which is Immigrants in Tech, if
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Could you talk a little bit about that, like what that project is about, and how people can benefit from it, or how you are using that to help people to get into project management and to get opportunities like elsewhere.
Yes. So immigrants in tech started because I realized that a lot of immigrants, because I moved to the UK in 2021, and I realized that when a lot of immigrants come here who are highly skilled,
Mm.
they are afraid that their knowledge and their experience isn't transferable into like the UK industry.
Mhm.
Um, so I noticed that because of that, they tend to settle for other roles, maybe in healthcare, or something that they're not really interested in just to because okay they feel that they can't get a job because they've gotten like maybe one or two rejections. So I thought and then there were other people who were interested in me like a data analyst going into cybersecurity, software engineering and the likes. So I thought about creating that platform, sort of like to mentor people and give them like the resources and tools to basically let them understand that because you're coming into a new country, the rejections are going to be there, but you need to be prepared yourself. So giving them that preparedness, like the tools and the resources and the information, the right information to get themselves ready for the tech industry here in the UK. So that's why I created a platform to help people. It's not to make money. I don't charge anything for it. I just do a bit of mentorship free of charge. I help people to tailor their CVs according to like a particular role, not them lying, but basically just highlighting where their skills are very transferable and letting the employer see how those relevant skills can help them within that role. And also just like I said, giving them the right information. There's a lot of information out there, but people don't have the time, maybe because they're in school, they're at work, to get those information. And people like me who likes to do a lot of research, I have access to these information. So just putting them in the right places. And
Mm,
that's the reason why Immigrants in Tech is there. Just highlighting that, and also sort of like highlighting that immigrants in the tech industry are amazing at what we do. Like, look at you, you're a software engineer doing amazingly in Germany. And there's so many other people in Canada, in the UK, in the US who are
mm,
immigrants who have newly moved or
mm,
who have been here for a while. They're working in a different field they don't love, or
mm,
they want to just simply make more money because money is good motivation, and also helping them how to sort of like negotiate the right salary.
mm,
Don't settle for a low pay because you feel like yeah, I have to start from scratch. No, you don't always have to start from scratch. You can
mm,
start from a really well paying job as long as you have the skills, as
yeah,
long as you can also show them that you have the skills, you have the experience. I don't expect somebody who has 15 years of experience
mm,
as a software engineer to come to the UK and then start earning below a certain mark. No, you have to earn good because you have this wealth of experience.
yeah.
So I'm going to help you and help you prepare yourself when you need to negotiate for your salary, negotiate a really good salary. So that's the reason why Immigrants in Tech is there. People can find it at immigrantintech.org,
Mhm.
and they can also reach out to us on Instagram as well and LinkedIn. It's called Immigrants in Tech UK, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like really amazing work that you are doing. Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm sure like lots of people would appreciate, to have, this kind of guidance and mentorship from, like yourself and people like with like this wealth of experience, to not have to, go through the hard process, that everyone, most people had to go through before.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's good. And I think the last thing that I, wanted to ask is more about, what are like, were there some unique challenges that you faced, throughout your journey, especially, how there's this whole idea that it's hard for women to get into tech and to get into like positions because sometimes like people think it's like it is very well male dominated field.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that you can't have women excelling in these roles, and you've already shown that, with your experience and your profile and the kind of impact you've made in the companies that you're already working at. Were there any unique challenges that you faced, going through this, and what would you say to like ladies or other women out there who want to get into these tech roles, but are not sure because maybe they think it's going to be almost impossible.
Well, before I answer that, I want to mention something you said that people don't have to go through the hard part because I've done the hard part, and honestly, that's one of the things that I feel like I need to let people know because I've gone through that process. I want to make it easier for others as well. So yeah, which also touches back to this being a woman in tech. One thing that I've had is I've had an amazing support system.
Mhm,
Most of my bosses have been women. This is actually the first time I'm getting like a manager who is actually male, and he's also very supportive. So having a good support system really helps.
mhm,
I've heard of horrible bosses stories. I've had my fair share of terrible bosses, but you one thing people need to understand that in a male dominated field, you have to stand out. You have to be very assertive. You
Mhm.
don't shrink. You have to make yourself present.
Mhm.
But when you make yourself present, you have to know what you're saying. Don't make yourself present and go and say rubbish. Yeah. So try as much as possible as a woman to arm yourself with a lot of knowledge, which I believe a lot of women are doing. A lot of women are really intelligent.
Mhm.
There's so many smart, capable software engineers that are women, and
Mhm.
then they're killing it. I feel like the industry needs more of that because women are also very organized.
Mhm.
Very women are very organized, very structured. We love to plan.
Mhm.
So the challenges I faced, I would say, was having like a boss who wasn't very supportive.
Mhm.
Not having a supportive boss can make you feel like you want to give up in a particular field. You maybe you're not interested.
Mhm.
Another issue challenge that I faced was in the university because I studied computer science. We had
Mhm.
a lot of strikes in school. So because of that, like you're trying to study a particular course, you're getting a lot of strikes, so it affects you. It affects your psyche
Yeah.
as well. So that was an issue I faced. In terms of growing within the career, my voice is, like I said, my voice is always loud. So even if I feel like somebody's disrespecting me within the field, I
Mhm.
try as much as possible to not lose my temper.
Mhm.
Even though I'm going to be very honest, early on in my career, I was a blabbermouth. I was always talking, always losing my temper, always like if a guy is talking, I would try to shout like 10 times. But I was young, I was naive, and I was learning, I was growing. So I think one thing is that we should not be afraid to make those mistakes because they help us and we can self reflect and think. So I would say the challenge I faced was disrespect, basically. I felt I got a lot of disrespect. But at the end of the day, when they see that the method in which you're proposing actually works, they start to respect you, and then you form like a good relationship with them that is professional. They begin to respect you and they begin to listen to you more no matter how old they are.
Mhm.
I manage people who are way times two my age, and it just feels like I'm talking to somebody that is my age mate because at the end of the day, work is work. There's nothing personal.
Yeah.
um, I might have like an email fight with you, and I'll give you a call and we're gisting, we're talking, because at the end of the day, it's just work.
Yeah.
I don't have any personal beef with you. And then we will go back to the email and still be fighting on email. So these are certain challenges you can face, like with different personalities. But as a woman, I would just say like a lot of disrespect happened, but I was very, very assertive. And I knew that I wanted to continue to get to the top. And I
Mhm.
just wanted people to deliver. It wasn't about my personal ego or anybody's ego. I just
Mhm.
want work to get done. And my support system, my amazing female bosses, my current manager, who's amazing, they've
Mhm.
really helped me to grow as an individual, to grow as a person, to grow as a woman in tech as
Mhm.
well. And then having a good team, just have an amazing team who are not here to fight you, who who you can have a meeting with and even just complain to, and then they would listen, and they would also complain and you would listen, really helps. So yeah, I'd say that's basically it.
Yeah, thanks. One last question. Ghana jollof or Nigeria jollof?
Ah, I would say Nigerian jollof. I always say this thing. Ghana jollof tastes like the bottom pot of Nigerian jollof.
Oh,
Bottom pot is sweet, is also sweet. So I feel like a combination of both. I, I, I think Nigerian jollof has its uniqueness. Ghana jollof has its uniqueness. But of course, I'm Nigerian, so I'll go for Nigerian jollof.
okay, we'll stick with that. Yeah, thanks a lot for agreeing to be on the show. I've learned so much from this session, and I'm sure like a lot of people who watch this would also learn a lot, and they would also appreciate this.
Yes.
If people want to reach out to you directly, how can they reach out to you?
They can reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's Jacqueline and Nelly, the name showing on screen, or they can send me an email. It's jacqueline.nelly@gmail.com. They can also reach out to us on Immigrants in Tech on LinkedIn or on Instagram. We're not on Twitter yet, but
Okay.
hopefully we'll get there. Yeah, they can reach out to me and I will share the links and resources that people can try to, if they want to transition into being a project manager, they can basically go on those links and it would really help them. So I'll share them with you so you can post in the caption as well. And yeah, they can also watch out for my book. I have a book coming out with someone who's a software engineer.
Mhm.
He's moved to the UK recently. His name is Blessing Ashimi. We have a book coming out called The Newcomer's Guide to the UK. So there is a section basically that talks about how to prepare yourself into getting a job
Mhm.
as a project manager, product manager, cybersecurity, whatever, just how to get yourself ready when you move into the UK. So there's a particular chapter in the book, but the rest of the book tells you how to settle down in the UK, how to maybe get like a bank card or your flights, etc. Just getting an apartment and
Yeah.
so many other information that people need. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks a lot. And yeah, looking forward to, do this sometime again, maybe where we can talk more about, immigrants in tech in detail, and maybe, exposure about individual stories that, lives
Yeah.
that you guys have impacted and stuff. But yeah, it's been a really, insightful session, and thanks a lot for, being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.